This is a tutorial on student completion rules within Schoology. I am making this tutorial because I recently I teach computer applications, and I wanted my kids to be able to complete assignments at their own pace. So I had heard about these student completion rules, and I'm like, all right, well, let me give it a try with my materials that I had already had in my resources. And it turned out to be a complete nightmare, and it took me almost an entire day, actually more like 2 days, to figure it out and get it right. So I decided to make this tutorial, so hopefully I can save anybody else time that wants to use these completion rules as well. So here are the folders, and my thought process was, all right, I'm going to move an entire folder into one of my courses from my resources. So I went ahead and did that. All right, so I put it in my first period class. Here is the folder that I just brought over from my resources, and this folder has a ton of assignments in it, and I want to make it so that the students cannot move on to one assignment without completing the other assignment. So before you can do this, though, unfortunately, this is a little time consuming. First thing you have to do, and if anybody else is watching this and you know a better way to do this than I do, then please let me know. Otherwise, this is the only way that I know of how to do it. Before you can do that, the first thing you have to do for each assignment, unfortunately, is go in and edit it. And there are multiple things that you have to edit for each one. So the first thing I'm going to recommend that you do, and I, again, didn't find this out until later, and I was about to pull my hair out, is now, even though, sorry, I'm going to back out of this real quick, even though I've got these assignments ordered accordingly in my folder, they will not line up like this in my gradebook, and it has something to do, the gradebook does alphabetically, and because my numbers, I don't have like a word 01 and a word 04 and a 05, it ends up they're all out of whack in my gradebook. So what I would recommend that you do in order to avoid them being alphabetically assigned in your gradebook and throwing it out of order, when you go into edit, the first thing that I would do for each assignment is I would assign a unit and a number to it. So Word is actually my second unit. So I'm going to go ahead and do 2.00 for my first assignment in that unit. That's the first thing I'm going to change. I am not going to give it a due date because you will find that when you give due dates, when you go to use the completion rules, it automatically cancels out those due dates. So don't worry about due dates for now. There is a workaround with that. You do have to assign it a category. In that case, this is classwork. The other thing that you have to assign it is the grading period. So I'm going to select grading options. I am currently in the first semester, so I'm going to select that one. And then the very last thing you need to do, yours will be deselected. Yours is going to look like this. You do need to click on that to enable submissions. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And again, like I said, this is a long process. I'm going to have to go in here. But again, once you do it once and you put in the work, it's going to save you so much time in the future. So then I'm going to go to my next one. So the first one I did 2.00. So I'm going to go ahead and hit edit. For this one, I'm going to do 2.01. Again, I'm going to go down here. I'm going to select this is classwork homework. I'm going to select grading options, first semester, and then you will need to select this. I already did it for mine, but you will need to. I don't know why when you move a whole folder over into a course, all of a sudden it kicks out all of those options that you probably already had selected. So you do need to go ahead and reselect all those for each assignment. I'm going to pause it now while I do that for all of mine, and I'll come back in just a second. Something else I noticed that happened when I moved the entire folder over from my resources is that my tests, for some reason, which I don't do my tests out of 100 points, I do them out of just however many points, how many questions are on the test. So for some reason, when I moved it over, I realized that my points now we're back up to 100 points. So what you want to make sure that you do is for your tests, go in there into your test, double check how many points they are. So this one was 46 points. So then I'm going to go ahead and go back, and when I edit that, I am going to make sure to change not only the category and the grading period, but I'm also going to change the points back to normal. So I'm going to put 46 points in there and hit save. All right, I'm going to continue making my changes. Hang on. All right, I finally got all of my assignments numbered properly. I've got them in the proper grading period, blah, 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 blah. Now I can finally go and set up these completion rules. So I'm going to go in the folder to do this. And then up here under options, I'm going to select options, and I'm going to select student completion. And then I want all of them to be completed in sequential order, that they're in the folder. So I'm going to select that. And then for each one, I'm going to have to add a requirement. So I'm going to start off with my very first one. I want my students to have to actually submit the item before they can move on to the next one, but you can choose if you just want them to view it or if you want them to score a certain amount. So I'm going to go ahead and select that one for my first one, and I'm going to hit add a requirement. And I'm going to move to my second one. And again, I'm going to select make a submission. I believe you can make more than one requirement per assignment. And I think if you do that, you just have to hit add requirement and then select that same one again, and you can add another requirement or rule to the same assignment. Now, depending on what type of material that it is, I think your options here change. But for quizzes, I like to select that they have to score at least, and then I like mine to score at least a 75% or higher before they can move on. So, to bust out the calculator real quick, that's approximately a 35 out of 46. And then again, this would be an example of where I could add another requirement onto this same one and say that I wanted them to submit it as well before they can move on. All right, I got all my rules in there. That took forever, but I got it done now. You can see the rules here. Make a submission, then for my test, it says they've got to score at least a 35. So a couple things you can do now is you can check student progress. I haven't obviously had any of my kids doing this yet, but if I want to see how far they are in the folder, I can check student progress. And the kids themselves, if they go into their materials and into the folder, they'll see like little green check marks under here once they've completed the assignments. And then the other thing you can do, you can make the folders have to be completed in sequential order as well, so that the kids can't hop around between folders either until one folder is completed. So if I wanted to do that, I could go up to options on my main page here and hit student completion, and then I can just say make all folders sequential. Select that and then hit save, and then the folders will have to be completed in order. Last thing that I wanted to show real quick was I noticed that some people were saying that they wanted to still use due dates with their completion rules. So when you initially do the completion rules, it deletes the due dates, but if you wanted to add in due dates, I believe there is a workaround. You would need to go into your grade book, and then you would need to use the bulk edit feature for this, which is going to be right here, bulk edit. And then once you get into the bulk edit feature, I believe that you should be able to add in your due dates manually here, and then they will stick, and that's how they will show up in your grade book. Now, if you use due dates and they don't align up with how you numbered them over here, obviously that's going to mess things up, because in the grade book they go by due date, not by alphabetical order. All right, I hope that helped you guys. I know I was ready to tear my hair out when I first tried to do this, so I'm just hoping to save some people some serious stress. All right, thanks.